Today we're going to be concluding a series that's gone about 8 weeks now, dealing with the miracles in the Gospel of John, and asking specifically this morning a question. We've gone through all 7 of the miracles that John specifically chose for some very specific reasons that we'll deal with this morning. So we think about the miracles in the Gospel of John. There are 7 of them, and those 7 are actually listed on your handout, and so you won't have to fill that part in. We've talked about each one of those in turn, and specifically looked at some of the events that were going on in that particular miracle, that particular setting. But today I want us to go to the end of the book of John and deal with the specific reason why he chose these. When we think about this, let's look at John chapter 20, verse 30 to 31. It's both in your handout and on the screen. The disciples saw Jesus do many other miraculous signs in addition to the ones that were recorded in this book. But these are written, I just like it when an author says, this is why I'm saying this. That's what he's done here. But these are written so that you may continue to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. And that believing in him, you will have life by the power of his name. What a wonderful thought. That's a great mission statement for his book, isn't it? We as humans, we try to figure out God. And we bump up against him, and we kind of feel what he's done and who he is and kind of what he feels like. And we do our best to stretch our arms out and try to embrace that. And today I saw some of you reaching your arms out and trying to embrace that. And I was smiling inside, just thinking about the picture that I'm about to put up there and how we must look to the Father. Put our arms out. Trying to figure it all out. We looked at 7 amazing miracles in this little book of John. And as John was contemplating, you did so many things. As a matter of fact, he'll later say in this chapter, a little bit later, that if, I suppose, is how he put it, I suppose that if everything that he said and taught were to be written in a book, the world could not contain such an account. But these 7, they say something. They speak to us about belief and describe identity. Not just identity of the person, but draws the extremely critical lines of God's character. Listen to this, stripped of religious caricatures and preconceived notions. Just pulls it all off and just makes it look raw. This is what he did. What a great little book. 3 areas that I want to deal with, and on your handout there are 3 columns. Those 3 columns continue on the back, so as I go down the first column, you'll actually have to turn over the page and finish the column on the back of the page. The first one is quite simply believe. It said this has been written so that you would believe. This first miracle dealt with the turning of water to wine, and it's found in John chapter 2. So the little number afterwards is not the second miracle, but it's the second chapter where it's found in John. When he turned the water into wine, we can see from this, among other things, that you will believe that Jesus wants you to succeed. This wedding was falling apart. And it was premature to do this, and yet he looked at this couple and he says, this is going to look really bad. It's going to look really bad. It tells me that I can believe that Jesus wants me to succeed, and not just that somehow there's glory and applause. There wasn't much glory and applause from it. But John saw it from the beginning, that this Jesus wasn't just about this big grandiose plans, but he looks at this young couple that are beginning their life together, and if somehow this doesn't come off without a hitch, then there's a problem. It's going to their wedding, their marriage is going to be looked upon with doubt and all of these negative things from the beginning. And Jesus says, "I want you to succeed." The second miracle, we have healing of an official's son. And we see from this one that because Jesus didn't even go to the boy who was about to die, we see that physical presence is not necessary, but what is critical is connection to him. I'm glad because I've never seen Jesus. I've heard of people who see these apparitions or these manifestations, these visions, and I've never been privileged to see that. I've shared that before. I've never seen angels or anything like that. And if you have, then you can just look at me and go, "Aw." I haven't. But I look at this and I think the little boy didn't see him either. The whole household didn't. What was critical was connection. I've got to connect to him. The third miracle is the healing of a man at a pool who had been there for a very long time, who was waiting for one of these angels to come and trouble waters, kind of splash it around. I guess that's what it kind of looked like, bubbles up from the bottom or something. I don't know. And the tradition said that if you were the first one in the pool, then you would be healed. This was found in John chapter 5. It helps me believe that Jesus sidesteps what we think are answers, and he becomes the answer himself. Let me remind everybody today that faith is not really the goal. Faith is a vehicle. He is the goal. Faith is not the answer. We don't glorify faith. We don't sing toward faith. We want to receive it only because it is the way that we can connect with him. It's the means of finding meaning in him. Fourth miracle is feeding 5,000, and that's what they were alluding to with my little cake here. Can I divide that and make that happen? We could try if you'd like. Everybody can go by and put your finger in it, maybe. I would only kind of be okay with that. This miracle reminds me that he knows our daily needs. They do not escape his attention. On the back of your handout, you've got the fifth miracle where Jesus walks on the water. Remember the disciples got out in the boat and a huge storm was blowing, and they thought we're going to die for sure. And then they saw Jesus, and that fear about the waves just kind of carried over. Oh, now it's a ghost, and now we're all going to die, and then the ghost is coming to carry us away. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were completely beside themselves with fear. Jesus comes. This is in John chapter 6. And I have to believe that in some ways this is to help us believe that he will use the thing that threatens to save us. The very thing that they thought was going to destroy them, the waves, became the vehicle by which Jesus was walking to them. What a thing. Now, if you're into those kinds of Bible studies, your mind is going, wow. Some other you are looking at me going, huh? Doesn't matter which one it is. In reality, I believe that God will come to you in your fear, and we can believe that he is the Messiah, the Son of God. And it doesn't matter what is going on in your life. It can become a vehicle by which you are saved. It is sometimes the negative things in our life that direct us toward the end that needs to be attained. We may not like it, but sometimes it just works that way. Sixth miracle, we have Jesus giving sight to a man who was born blind in John chapter 9. This helps me believe that even the unheard of miracle is possible. And even an unheard of. I could probably give you an example of a miracle like that maybe, but then you would have heard of it, and then it would become by definition no longer unheard of. This shocked everybody, this one. Even the unheard of miracle is possible. John said, I'm writing these things that you would believe that he is the Messiah, the Son of God. He minces no words. He doesn't pull any punches on that. Listen, this is not just some prophet. This is not just some great teacher. That is an error, which is what John is saying. This is an error if you think that's who he is. He was far more than that. He was the Messiah. Now, the Messiah, if you're not familiar with that term, and even the word Christ is similar to that term, those terms mean the anointed one, the one upon whom the entire presence of God resides, the one who would become the Redeemer of everything. This is the Messiah. There's not another one coming down the pike. This is the one, and we're to look to him. He is the answer for everything. It's what John is saying. That unheard of miracle that you think, this is impossible, he can do that. Think of something else impossible, he can do that. Go ahead, stretch your mind. Above all that we can ask or think is what Paul wrote. He is more than able to do that. It is why John wrote these particular miracles. And then the seventh one is raising Lazarus from the dead. You see how these are just growing in magnitude and wow factor. But even the little number one miracle, turning water to wine, I can't do that one. Only he can do that. It helps me believe that even death does not have the ultimate say. It doesn't matter what has come your direction. Not even that has the ultimate say. Let's go back to the first page in the second column. He says to have life, that you would have life. Man, I want to live. I don't want to have a big lampshade, dark lampshade put over me and said, no, you're a follower of the way. And somehow all of this frightening rules get thrown on you. Listen, friends, I believe that when Jesus came, he came that we would have life and we would have it in abundance. But unfortunately, we sometimes think that it ends up really being just the Good Life Club. Here we all are. Now we're going to sing our songs and we're going to just have a nice time, and then we'll eat, and then we'll go and do the real thing. It's not just a little Good Life Tuesday afternoon outing, and we're going to sing a few songs and draw a picture. But rather, his intention is that we would have a truly fulfilled life, a truly fulfilling existence. That your existence would take on meaning and depth and purpose. Not just meeting the bills at the end of the month, not just somehow surviving whatever is thrown at us, but an abundance that really God wants you to have. Well, I don't know about me. No, you. Well, it's impossible for me. Okay, you become the impossible, unheard of miracle. Okay. He can do that too, by the way. But I have to admit, things get a little bit fuzzy here. Let me go through some things. This is what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that it is appointed for man once to die, and after that, the judgment. And this tells me that you are unique and responsible for your actions. This is life, okay? This is life. The Bible teaches you live this one time and you make the choices, but it tells us that you are responsible. And to me, you say, well, that's a heavy load. But in reality, it's a great comfort that somebody else has not written my life. That somebody else's big mistakes has not become mine. But the Bible teaches that we are responsible for